Folks, give it up for Hana Nobel.
Is my voice working? Okay, barely. Kevin and I had been dating for 3 months when I had to sit Shiva for a friend who died far too young and far too fast from brain cancer. Now, Shiva is a Jewish week of grieving. You are in somebody's house for a whole week, the family's house. It's pretty intense because you're mourning for a whole week, and it's also intense because you eat a lot of deli platters every day for a whole week. But I went immediately from sitting Shiva to Kevin's house, and I still was at the stage where I wanted us to be sexy and fun, and I wanted to be the cool, chill girl. We were still peeing with the door closed. We hadn't farted in front of each other yet. So I didn't want to show up a really depressing, sad cloud at his house. And if my former therapist was here, she would say, Hana likes to pour from an empty cup. She likes to give when she has nothing to actually give. And this will prove that. So I show up at Kevin's house, and I'm like, this night's going to be so fun. It's going to be so sexy. I'm going to compartmentalize my grief so that we can have a really fun, hot night together. And Kevin's like, let's go out to dinner. And I said, I cannot go to dinner, but we can order dinner in. And then that begins the conversation that every couple has had of, what are we going to eat? Which is like the worst part of being in a relationship. And if you say that it's heartbreak and betrayal, you're wrong, because deciding what to eat is the worst thing you can do in a relationship. It's the worst part. Death by 1,000 paper cuts of DoorDash receipts, I think. But he's like, I'm going to order something, just lay down. And I had been flying a lot. And while he took care of ordering, I was like, how are we going to spice this night up? And if you've ever been on an airplane, you can watch every episode of Modern Family, and you can also watch the Sex and the City movie. If you've never seen the movie, that is okay. You do not have to. But what you need to know is there's a scene where sex-positive Samantha, perhaps the most sex-positive of the bunch, lays down naked on a kitchen counter in her house in Malibu on Valentine's Day, and she covers her body in sushi. And I thought, this is exactly what's gonna spice this night up. Now, again, I had no idea what he had ordered. And when the food came, it turned out that Kevin had ordered Indian food. Nevertheless, I persisted. I took all of my clothes off. I put a towel down. I laid down, and I said, you are going to eat this off of my body. And he said, why? And I said, because it's going to be hot, and we're really fun, and we really like each other. This is going to be an amazing night. I'm not going to let everything ruin it. And he's like, are you sure? I really need to stress, he did not want this. He did not demand that I do anything to spice up the evening. This was all me. I was pouring from my empty cup. And if Carrie Bradshaw was narrating, she might say something like, and as I poured from my figurative empty cup, Kevin poured from his literal one, curry onto my body. And I asked myself, what stage of grief was this? And it was probably denial, because I thought this was a really good idea. So I lay there, and there's a reason that Samantha chose sushi. It is compact. It is tightly wrapped. It is chilled. It does not move. So as Kevin spooned the curry onto my body, gravity, Newton's laws of motion went into motion. Gravity took over. There were rivers and estuaries of curry going down my body, and I tilted to try to make sure that they didn't go where they shouldn't go, because I had enough going on. I did not need curry in my vagina. And he kept being like, are you sure? And I'm like, pour it on, this is so fun. They're having a great time. As if that was gonna like convince him that this wasn't fucking crazy. So he pours the curry, and we're laughing, and the rice is like jumping up and down as we're laughing. And is it hot? Absolutely not. But does it fix the problem of changing the mood? Definitely. We kept calm and we curried on. So we took a shower, which also was not sexy, because nobody wants to have sex with anyone who has like tikka masala in their belly button currently. So it was not a sexy night, and I fell asleep because I was exhausted, and what I needed instead of curry sex, I needed rest. We knew that the whole time. My therapist would have known that the whole time, but I didn't know that yet, okay? You have to learn some lessons yourself. And I thought things were good, that's behind us. Or so I thought. Until a couple days later, I find a rash on my stomach. And I'm like, I'm not going to WebMD because that always leads me to a spirally place, if you can believe that I'm a spirally person. And so I don't look it up, and I show my 7 sex-positive polyamorous roommates my rash. I'm like, I'm in the place where the curry was. I think this is from my curry coitus. And everyone's like, what? So I tell everyone this thing, and I'm like, this is what I did. It's so funny. Isn't that funny? And they're all like, yeah, so funny. So the rash is getting bigger and bigger, and I Google things like food plus burn. And the things that come up are things like how many calories you can burn from, or I Google sex plus burn. How many things you can calories you can burn from sex and your food that you can burn from sex. And I was like, this is not helpful. Interesting, but not helpful to my needs. And then the rash gets bigger and bigger, and I'm like showing everybody. And then someone finally looks at it like a visitor. I'm showing everyone who's coming into the house now. I'm like, look at this. And someone's like, you have ringworm. And I was like, I don't have a worm in me. And they're like, that is not what that is. Look it up. I'm like, maybe I should use WebMD. So I go to the doctor. The doctor's like, you definitely have ringworm. Have you been around animals lately? So Kevin and I weren't dating exclusively yet, and the night after I went on a date with someone who had a dog. He was so boring, but the dog was so cute, and I spent the whole night cuddling the dog, and I guess the dog left me a little present. And so I had to go back and tell everybody that I had ringworm, and I'm like, I don't really know if you can get it, but everyone and all your friends touch my stomach, so just FYI, you might have that. It felt like I was telling everyone that I'd given them an STI. But I was like, just FYI, tell all your friends who came over, it's not from the curry. Also tell them not to tell anyone else about the curry, too. It took 2 months and 2 tubes of cream for all of my rashes to go away. If I had gone on WebMD, I probably would have gotten rid of it sooner. And Kevin and I dated for 2.5 years. We never ate Indian food again. I don't think it's totally related, but he might have had a little bit of PTSD from the experience. And then I recently watched the Sex and the City movie again, which again, you do not have to do. It's not worth it, sorry. But what I had forgotten and blacked out in my kind of mania was that Samantha's grand gesture went so badly. So I remembered her plating sushi on her body, and Smith came home and ate it, and they had this hot night. What happened is her boyfriend actually missed dinner. He was late, he left a voicemail, he wasn't coming home. She took the sushi off of her body, and when he came home, she threw it at him. And I was like, okay, this didn't go well. If I had remembered that part, maybe I wouldn't have done that. But you know what? There's not a lot of Samantha in me, but I do respect that she is someone that has boundaries. She did not come back for the disastrous reboot of Sex and the City that just came out. She has said she didn't want to spend a minute doing something she doesn't like. She has strong boundaries. She does not pour from an empty cup, and my therapist would love her. Thank you.